Welcome everyone. I'm thrilled to have you all here for this new webinar series, Your Secret CMO. So as you guys know, today we'll be diving into how to shatter your growth ceiling and 10x your revenue without bleeding on ad spend. My name is Andres Morales. I'm Director of Marketing here at EmberTribe, and I'll be the moderator for this session. In today's webinar, we're going to focus mostly on big picture strategies and some actionable steps that you can actually start implementing right away to start scaling. With me today, we have Olivier Grinda. Olivier is the COO of Clearco, and he has vast experience in the e-commerce sector as an operational business leader and a proven track record launching and scaling business across various industries. Also, we have Josh Sturgeon, co-founder and CEO of EmberTribe. Josh, who has already mentored over 200 founders in programs like MIT, Techstars, and the Harvard Business School. He now leads a team of growth experts that help founders scale their business with multi-channel strategies. Now I'll hand it over to Oliver to introduce himself and share a little bit more about Clearco and how it can help you fund your marketing programs.
I'll introduce Clearco first. So Clearco has been helping e-commerce companies basically grow since 2017, 2018. We've been basically helping our customer by providing a financial product where we pay inventory and marketing expenses on their behalf, marketing being the most relevant for this session. But the part that's particularly interesting is that it's products that really fuel growth. So if you're in e-commerce and you have a positive ROI on your marketing or a positive ROI on your inventory, it's, every dollar that you don't spend, is a missed opportunity to grow faster. And it's what basically Clearco enables. And we've been doing this for a long time. We've already helped over 10,000 e-commerce, and we've funded about $10.5 billion worth of inventory and marketing. The part that are particularly relevant here is particularly when you compare with equity dollars, it's very cheap. When you consider equity dollars, which is really what people typically use in order for them to fuel their growth, we happen to be non-dilutive. We don't have a collateral. We just buy a percentage of your future revenues. We're very fast. Once you have all of your documents ready and finish your profile, it takes 24 hours to decide what is the amount and what is the pricing that you have at your disposal. And the part that's very important is we do weekly fixed or what we call cap payment, because despite the fact that it is a percentage of your revenue, we cap it to a certain amount, so you never pay us back faster than the 4, 5, or 6 months term that you select for yourself. So really a financial product that helps founders and leaders grow their company in a way that is in line with their inventory needs that, comes back on a very seasonal basis. Going to talk a little bit about myself. I've been in the tech space for about 14 years. I've built 4 venture-backed startups before joining Clearco. One of those startups was actually the first subscription e-commerce of Brazil back in 2012, I think, like a while ago. And I've also been investing in startups for a long time, and in the e-commerce space, I invested in companies like Adore.me, like Bespoke Post, and Rebag. And now I've been joined Clearco. I became their COO about a year and a half ago, and keep on helping founders. The part that is really interesting is that the minimum threshold that we require is actually quite low. We really strive to help companies of different sizes. We can help companies that are as big as $100 million in revenue, but the reality is that in order to qualify for Clearco product is you just have to do $10,000 in monthly revenue. You need to have the company being alive for a little while, so you need to have like 12 months worth of revenue, and you need to be in the US and have a US bank account. Other than that, the threshold is very, very low, and we really try to help customers of every sizes. Whether, again, you can do $100 million or you can do $10,000, we're here and we have a product that works for you. So the part that's perhaps more relevant for this context is a part of marketing. We fund marketing. This is one of the hallmark of growth. 65% of all SMBs are using marketing, and probably most of 100% of e-commerce, I would guess, because in this you can consider offline businesses or event businesses that wouldn't necessarily, for whom it wouldn't be relevant. And what is really interesting for today is that 30 to 60 days before you start preparing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, this is when people really start pushing on the marketing to get the visibility they have to have a very high sell-through of their inventory moving forward on those key dates. And another part where it really marries itself well with Clearco is, as most of you know, Google has stopped accepting credit card payments. So now you really don't really have any more terms. You just have to pay cash. So this is where our receipt function of our product can come really into play, where you can pay Google and then upload that receipt into our platform, and we'll be able to offer you 4, 5, 6 month term. So very powerful on that front, and a good way to fill the gap again to our core customers. One of the part that's been really, really cool, well, we've been helping customer grow for a long time. And so you get some perks. They actually design our hats at Clearco. Companies like Hat Launch, they've been using us since 2021. Like, they've been customers for a very long time. And it's fantastic for them to grow side by side with us, because as they grow, we're able to extend more credit. As we extend more funding to them, they grow faster. And as long as we have this positive ROI, which I'm sure we're going to talk a lot at length today, this is a very healthy relationship, and we want them to grow as much as possible. The part of SEO that I think most of the people get wrong is they're like, well, it's going to be very long-term investment, so I'm going to start with immediately doing a short-term investment into digital marketing. And you should do pay-per-click. You should go. You should try Meta. You should see what channel should give you quick returns. However, the investment in SEO, quite frankly, tends to have to be day one. Because there is a long tail to it, but there's also very quick benefits. The part that is the most relevant, in my opinion, is when you combine SEO strategy and content strategy with direct marketing, you end up actually having a much higher conversion rate, because people are able to see the credibility that you have on your content. They're able to see how well you're ranked, and it actually boosts your expenditure into performance marketing channels as well. I'm sure this is no secret to anyone. Top 3 position in Google, this is where the money is. And so if you're able to have a really strong SEO presence that is combined with an accelerator like performance marketing, combining the two is really where we see the best result. And quite transparently, that is 100% the strategy that Clearco is taking for its own marketing. If you go into our platform, what you'll see is a ton of content that we're putting out there. And it is in part, obviously, to educate our customer and create some relevant content in an industry that we know very well, but it is also to rank highly, and it's also to support our performance marketing. So go long on SEO immediately, I would say. And then the other part is also, if you pay an agency to help you with SEO, you can also submit this as an invoice for Clearco.
So I'm going to dive in deeper here. I'm going to leave you guys with some tactics. We're going deep today. So I hope you're ready to drink a little bit from a fire hose. Otherwise, we're just going to dive and get right into it. So my name is Josh Sturgeon. I'm co-founder of EmberTribe. Been building this business for about 10 years, working with a lot of early stage companies. But along the way, I've also worked with accelerator programs like Techstars. So I'll be honest with you, a lot of the material you're getting today is from what I've been using to train elite startup founders over the last decade to build their business. And they're in the trenches, they're fighting. Oftentimes they're bootstrapping or going off of a small seed round. So I have no intention of sharing just theory with you today. I want to give you something that's going to work and actually has been proven to work and has some real ROI behind it. So EmberTribe, we're focused on customer acquisition. That's really our center of genius. But after becoming acquired last year by Napkin, we now have sister agencies. We have some of the world's leading video production agencies. We have, web development, identity design. So it's a true one-stop shop. But our real sweet spot has been in customer acquisition through paid media, through SEO, and through content. We're talking to a lot of people. A part of our sales process is a consultative process. We're talking to people, understanding where you're at, what are the struggles that you're going for today, what are your goals for growth. And that gives us a significant set of data points to kind of get a sense of where the industry is at and where people are facing the most challenges. And we hear these patterns emerge time and time again, like, hey, our ROAS just isn't what it was before. We can't seem to scale. A lot of you have probably experienced maybe even small parts of this, if not full on, but across the board, you're not crazy. If you look at your ad account and it just doesn't look like it did last year, there's a real reason behind that. And I think what we found here is that there's a principle at play. Like, none of this actually is too much of a surprise when you look at some of the macro forces at play. And a lot of you might be familiar with the 80-20 rule or the Pareto principle. And it's kind of like that, what's happening here. This is literally called the 95-5 rule. And it states that 95% of your customers in any market are typically not in buying mode, right? They're not ready to make a purchase. Yet, that 5% that is in buying mode, we're all kind of going after that same little group. There's a very small portion of your audience that's considered in market. And then the rest of them are kind of bound to an earlier part of what we'd call the buyer's journey. And so what happens, right, is we have these bottom funnel wars that emerge where, after auditing thousands of ad accounts over the years, we've seen that 80+% of the budget is focused on that bottom funnel, right? So if you have everybody who's advertising, everybody who's competing for that one part of your audience who's in market, what happens, right? That competition is driving pressure down, and we're starting to get those diminishing returns. So as you try to scale and as you try to, continue growing the performance of your account, little by little, the performance suffers, right? Then next year it's harder, and the year after that it's harder. And so what you're experiencing is this downward pressure on performance, where at the end of the day, this starts to impact the operations of your business, right? So maybe before you were able to break even on a customer after 2 months, but now, because the profitability isn't what it was before, now that's 4 months. Now you've got double the payback period to break even on that customer. Now it starts to impact your cash flow. Now it starts to impact your ability to buy inventory or to scale or to add to your team. And so this is one of the ways that we love partnering with Clearco, is that we're able to find, healthy capital that can come in and create somewhat of a cushion there. But that's only going to be a temporary save, right? You need to kind of reorchestrate maybe what your marketing mix looks like. As has already been alluded to, our belief is that organic search and SEO is one of the best places to start. If you're needing to diversify your channel mix and start to blend in more traffic sources, more ways to meet new customers, organic search has stood the test of time, rather. And so it's as if you already have millions of people who are raising their hands, needing information, and they're waiting on you to call on them, in a sense. Like, they're waiting on you to produce that answer. And so because of that, it's an incredible way to start tapping that 95%, start reaching people earlier in the process, and to resist the urge of battling it out at the bottom of the funnel. And listen, I get it. Like, it's interesting how we all prefer, almost, even if it's not performing, we all prefer the quick measurability, the direct response, the ability to see like an input result in an out. But a lot of people's businesses are being stopped up and hitting a ceiling because of the over-reliance on that direct response marketing. So the trick is tap the funnel. We're going to show exactly how. I want to teach through example, but let's start with what is really SEO, because I think a lot of us have maybe tried SEO, but we've approached it with a defensive strategy. And what I mean is we've misunderstood SEO to be a checklist of tasks, things to fix, some keywords to sprinkle on your key product pages, to optimize title tags, whatever, right? To fix technical issues with the site. And all of that is good, but it's literally just the starting point. If you want to play some offense with SEO and start seeing the revenue impact, like we've seen 6 figures plus of revenue opened up in 90 days or less. We've seen this happen when you're playing offense, when you're creating content at scale, when you're acquiring and attracting links. This is like the gas that you put in your engine to be able to drive it forward and to get real value from SEO. So that's what we're going to teach. I'm going to show you the blueprint. Let me actually show you some results from our clients. Bailey's was a client of ours. They're creating a CBD product, very competitive industry. And they're creating it for cat and dog. So it's for pet owners. And their challenge, as you can imagine, was they're in this restricted space. If it's hard enough to grow and sustain growth on these ad platforms, it's even harder for somebody who can't advertise the same way that you can, right? They don't even have access to a lot of the same traffic sources that you have access to. But there's still this tremendous opportunity given what they've built. They have a very focused niche. They're trying to reach an audience that's searching for a lot of information, because as you guys know, as a pet owner, right, you have a lot of questions. You want to be a good pet owner. You want to take care of your little buddy. So because of that, it lends itself really well to search. And so we take a concept like this, why is my dog restless? A topic about something very explicit and very clear. And from there, we can infer, okay, this is somebody who cares about their dog's rest or their dog's sleep. Now we can create a resource, we can create an article that ranks for that query. And then it's our job to be able to effectively channel somebody's interest, build a bridge over to the product set that we have to offer. So we go from, Why is my dog restless at night? Let's produce a resource for that. Somebody finds it. Now we can channel that energy over with a bridge to say, hey, maybe you should try some of our CBD-based products that could help with this. It could help alleviate these systems or these symptoms rather, and then give you the result that you want, which is better sleep for your dog. And so we have this saying that we throw around the agency, which is give them what they want so you can show them what they need. In other words, give this person the resource that they need to understand why their dog is restless so that you can show them what they need, which is maybe a more vast nutritional selection for your dog to kind of take care of these problems in the first place. And the results are awesome, right? This is actually a screenshot from the Google Search Console. And we're seeing, what I want you to take away from this is that it's not just one primary keyword. There's literally 1,000 keywords that this one article ranks for, all with related kind of subtopics and variations of the keyword. And so this is the real power of building a comprehensive article that meets the intent of the searcher, is it's going to rank for a lot more than whatever that initial primary keyword is. And that means lots of traffic for you, especially in a big space with 60+ million households or dog owners and 46 million with cats. You know your audience is there, but what are they searching for? How do you get in front of them? And that's really the first part of this blueprint, is just understanding where the search demand is. And the results speak for themselves. 256% increase in organic traffic. They added 73K in revenue. And again, you guys, this is a restricted space, a place that is hungry for traffic, hungry for reaching new customers. They added that inside of 90 days by pursuing this strategy. And now they're doubling down on it because they're seeing how it's become a critical piece in their growth path. Same thing with Shapeez. So Shapeez has a product that I was unfamiliar with prior to working with them. It's women's shapewear, but they had the challenge of the same thing I'm sure a lot of you are facing, which is they're facing diminishing marginal returns on their paid media. And they needed to introduce new channels to be able to reach their customers at scale and to continue growing. And so the solution there for them is what we've been talking about. How do you go earlier in that buyer's journey? How do you top that 95 or tap that 95% that's locked up earlier in the buyer's journey? Well, organic search is the way to go. You guys ever see in Vermont those taps that you put into the maple trees and then the syrup comes out? It's like, that's kind of what we're doing here with organic traffic. We're building content, we're tapping that spout into the tree, and then the sap can come through to make maple syrup. Here's a query here: how to hide back fat. This is something that somebody's searching for, right? They want to solve this problem. As funny as it might be, or we're laughing about it, it's like, no, this represents a huge chunk of the audience who is completely maybe unaware of shapewear as an option, and they're trying to solve a problem for themselves. So we can create that resource. We talk about different ways to maybe fashion an outfit. Remember, give them what they want, show them what they need. And what they need is an opportunity to see a great product that solves the problem that they originally came in wanting to solve. And there's a whole assortment of bras and different shapewear that can fit your need or whatever your issue might be. Results here: massive increase in organic traffic, 300%, and they added $145,000 of additional revenue from people coming in through these front doors of their business, coming in through those articles that are ranking for how to hide back fat. And then not right away, but within a 30-day period, converting and making a purchase. And again, this is just like Olivier pointed out earlier, SEO is this rising tide that lifts all the ships of your marketing. So you remember what their challenge was. It was they were hitting a ceiling with their paid campaigns. Well, not only did they unlock new revenue from organic search, their actual paid media campaigns accelerated because now you get tactics available like being able to retarget that traffic. So maybe you take all of your blog posts and categorize them by category and then create a remarketing list based on the people who read those blog posts. You can show them more content. You can show them a product carousel that would kind of map to their needs and be a relevant thing for them to see. You didn't pay for those eyeballs. They came in organically. Now you have a warm audience that you can retarget, and it's going to boost the ROAS of your entire campaign across the board. You can also create new lookalikes faster, right? By having that organic traffic that's targeted, it's coming in. It might even be off the radar of some of these paid social platforms in terms of a high intent buying audience, but you know that they are because they came in through search. If you're running paid search already, you're already using Google Ads. This is an opportunity. Once you start to establish an organic ranking, you can reallocate your budget. Maybe you don't need to be as aggressive on bids for those particular keywords. Maybe now you can reallocate, like you're a portfolio manager, you can reallocate that budget to new prospecting keywords, or to have better coverage where you don't have organic coverage yet. So there's a lot of different ways that as you introduce this new traffic channel, you're able to see performance increase across the board, not only from the trust factor, but also just from the sheer fact that you're getting a lot of traffic for free that before you were paying for. So what's the blueprint? What's the mix that goes into the results that you've just seen? And if playing SEO requires you to take maybe a different approach that's not defensive in nature, but is a little bit more proactive, how do you do that? Well, we've developed a system that we called ClusterMagic. We've spent about 2 years to develop, to refine, to test, to iterate, to make sure that the results could withstand the tests of time and the Google updates that would follow. And that's what I want to give you right now. So if you're really going to key into the step-by-step, this is the time to kind of like take out the pen and paper and write it down. But everything that we do starts with audience immersion. And so this is where people immediately get it wrong. And they're starting with keyword research. Don't start with a keyword. Start with a person in mind. Because if you start with a keyword, you start to pigeonhole yourself into the little maybe semantic connections or the words that surround those starting keywords. But if you start with a person, you visit the subreddits, the Quora threads, the private Facebook groups, you understand maybe some of the adjacent hobbies that your audience has, the pains they feel, the aspirations they have. All of that will give you way more raw materials to work with and to start thinking through some creative keyword strategies to find those customers in search. So step one is audience immersion. Take the time, go through, get a little Chrome scraper plugin, scrape like 100, 200 posts from Reddit, understand where the most activity and attention is going, you know, in people's real language and words, like understand the mind of your buyer. And that's going to give you an incredible table set for being able to do keyword research well. Once you have that, then you go into, it is time consuming, but it's worth it, the time consuming process of doing keyword research and then creating a plan of attack. And so as you're doing keyword research, this is a screenshot from SEMrush. There's a lot of great tools, third-party tools, there's Google. I don't want to go into the weeds of that now, but I do want to point out that as you're choosing keywords, we're thinking about a few different dimensions. We're thinking about search volume, and we're thinking about keyword difficulty, meaning how difficult will it be for my site where I stand today to actually rank for this article. So search volume, you know, we don't want to get too focused on the scientific nature of the number that's reported here. It's not important if can dogs eat cat food actually gets 14,800 searches per month. Doesn't matter. It's going to be more, it's going to be less. What we look at there is just directionally. This compared to that, which is more popular? Where's there more competition? And that's kind of how you want to approach this, right? Because if you put too much stock into just the keyword, you're missing out on that example that I showed before with 1,000 keywords that the single article is ranking for, right? So think bigger. Think even if it shows a small volume, think about the person behind that keyword. And think about the fact that there's probably a lot of other variants of that keyword that you're going to rank for if you write the article. And then again, keyword difficulty. If the sites that are ranking for a particular keyword are very authoritative, like you're going up against the New York Times and Wikipedia and Amazon and whoever, that might be one that you want to deprioritize. Not avoid altogether, but maybe that's more of an aspirational keyword for you. And so you might want to tuck it deeper into your plan so that you're able to get those quick wins faster and start to see an ROI a little bit faster. The second piece of planning an organization is to, once you've cast that wide net and you've landed on your keywords and you've found the perfect balance of kind of difficulty and search volume, now you want to start clustering those together. And so this is called a cluster strategy, hence the name ClusterMagic, which is what we named our process for doing this whole assembly line approach to content that you'll see. But you have pillar content and you have cluster content. For e-commerce, most common, we'll see like a collections page or a category page kind of roll up to be that pillar, and then we'll create a lot of content to support that pillar. But it could also be something like a master guide that becomes a pillar, like the master guide to choosing shapewear or something like that. And you have all the supporting articles interlinking around it. And what this does is it creates what Google calls topical authority. And so if you imagine Google is always in this moment where they're trying to judge which website should I show the user who's searching today? Which experience is going to be best for the person who's searching? Because again, they need people to continue coming back to use Google to find what they want. Having breadth and having depth within these different clusters is what sets you apart and then sends the trust signals in part to Google to say, this is a great resource to send people to. We should rank it up higher. So you don't have to overthink this. In fact, this is a great application for AI. So AI does a fantastic job these days of being able to understand semantically the connections and maybe think about grouping. So one thing that you can do is you can take some of your keyword lists and you can actually have AI cluster and group them together. There's some tools that charge a lot of money to do this, but even as a first pass, your GPT, your fill in your language model of choice can help you do some of this stuff. But this is how you want to roll it up. You want to have the men's polo pillar page. You want to have a selection of articles around it that are internally linking to each other and then rolling up to that top pillar page. It creates those strong connections and that topical authority. But then it's time to get serious. Now it's like, okay, we're not just doing keyword research. We're not just immersing ourselves in the audience to know more. We actually want to put together a plan that's going to get you results and make sure that you're staying on track, right? So create this production plan for yourself. Don't have to overthink it. You could use a spreadsheet like this, where the goal here, again, is to kind of sort by impact, sort by the clusters that are going to offer maybe the best search volume for you that's most likely to convert, for instance, or the group that has the intersection of the highest search volume in aggregate with the lowest difficulty. You can think through different ways to prioritize so that you're getting the results as soon as possible. One other thing to think about, right, is as you're thinking about articles to go higher and higher up the funnel, if you're prioritizing ROI, think about that middle of the funnel. Because the middle of the funnel, actually, if you guys ever watched that show, Silicon Valley, go middle out. It's the middle out algorithm. Go middle out, because what it's going to do is it's going to place you in front of the people who are maybe a little bit farther along. So they're in consideration mode. It's a lot of the searches that you'll see that are like comparison or this versus that, or is this good, or what's the cost of that? Those are all more buying questions that aren't the bottom of the funnel, like buy brown shoes, but they're just 1 degree up where you can see and you can infer that there's an awareness of the solutions that they might have out on the market. And now what they're trying to do is determine what's the best fit for them. So there's content that you can write there that will usually convert quicker because that person is quicker to a point of purchase, and then kind of move upstream from there. That's the way that we like to divvy it up, at least. Now you get to the part where you got to create the content. So what are you going to do? You have choices where you could hire freelance writers. At our agency, we have a team of freelancers that we've used for years, some of which have different kind of backgrounds, like they had past lives as a healthcare entrepreneur, or they were in the medical field. And so we try to find, based on our clients' needs, these great human writers. But in this process of ClusterMagic, we've leaned into AI. Even before these tools became available to the public, we're experimenting on how do we use these language models in our process, not as like a complete 100% use case, but as you can see where it is, we want to use AI for that first draft. Then we've built an assembly line of editors who are taking that first draft, and it's almost like a glorified outline, and they're expanding upon it. They're rewriting, they're fact checking, they're making sure that this is a good user experience. And there's a whole checklist that we go through to make sure that the content ends up reaching the goal. Another really important step, though, is to actually analyze the content draft that you have against the existing competitors who are ranking for that search. To do this, you can use a tool like Surfer SEO. So surferseo.com. You can use phrase.io is another one that we've been with for a long time, or you can use a custom tool. Some of these offer APIs. You can blend them into your workflow. And that's in part what we've done in kind of building our own machine. But the way this works, and it's a really important step, is you're going to be grading your content against the competitors. So you say, here's the primary keyword term we're going after. Give me the top 20 rankers for that term. And I want you to do an analysis to show where there's commonalities and maybe where there's gaps. And so at a minimum, you want to make sure that you're covering maybe the subtopics and themes that all those rankers have in common, but then you want to level it up and fill the gaps to make your piece more comprehensive, a better choice for Google to rank, because you can address the query maybe with more accuracy, maybe with more content, maybe there's a few value adds to take it over the edge, right? And just to be competitive with what's out there. But don't skip this step, because this is really what allows the data to drive the composition process and the publishing process for you. So once you've gotten to that point and you're scoring at an acceptable rate against the competitors, now it's just to make sure that you're doing the fundamentals right. Now this is where the editors are coming in. They're optimizing page titles. They're making sure that there's external links for references to have great citations to support whatever the content is. It's internally linking throughout the cluster. It's making sure that the image content is strong and it's going to add something to the post rather than take away, so on and so forth. But you want to make sure that you have these kind of quality assurance checks along the way, because without them, you are at risk of maybe showing Google that you don't have great content. Now, Google's come out in no uncertain terms, and they said, we have nothing against AI generated content. And in fact, they're using AI in their own search results. So that tells you something about how they value the information that comes through there. But don't be fooled, right? If you create 100,000 posts in a day that have no editing, there's no fact checking, there's no meaningful links or formatting, or it's not readable, that's not going to go well for you. And things will catch up, and you will likely experience some sort of a contraction in the growth that you're seeing from SEO. But having that human touch, making sure you're providing a really good user experience, and making sure that you've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's with these optimization basics positions you to really get a ton of value, like these case studies I showed you before. So we've wrapped that all together into a package that we call ClusterMagic. Again, it's part of our overall SEO offering, but we've branded the way that we create content in this blended kind of human AI assembly line. And it's something that you can do yourself. Or if you treasure being able to accelerate results and not go through the same process that we went through to figure this out, work with us. That's where I want to talk to you in the next couple of days. We'll book a call. We'll go through that consultative process that I shared with you, and we'll evaluate where you are and really like where is the oil to be mined, or if you like a different metaphor, like where is there potential just stored up that's waiting to be released in search that could really accelerate your brand, make it easier to meet new customers, and then to really scale and let that like rising tide raise all the ships.
So this is it for today. Thank you guys very much. Thank you to Oliver and Josh for leading this webinar. Hope to see you guys soon.
Thanks, Andres. Thanks, everybody.